Greetings and welcome. Appreciate you guys tuning in to RPMMORadio. This is our 19th episode, RP on RL, or Roleplay on Real Life. We'll be one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and of course with me is the two ladies, Sib, who you just heard laugh.
Nope, that was Jazz.
That was me.
Oh, Jazz, who you just heard laugh. I don't know. I thought one name and said the other. When you get to my age, you'll understand. So, Sib and Jazz, how's it going, gals?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Same here. It's 90 friggin' degrees outside in the middle of October, so that was fun.
Oh.
It's cold and rainy here, so...
Well, see, that's the great thing about where we're at. It's 90 degrees today. It will be a high of 60 tomorrow.
And I think it's supposed to rain tonight.
It's supposed to rain tonight. Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah. As Will Rogers once said, if you don't like the weather here, wait 5 minutes. It'll change. So yeah, it's been a couple hot days, and from our favorite month of the year, at least my personal favorite month of the year, October, Halloween. It's fantastic. Of which we actually have something fun planned for our next episode, which we'll get into here a little bit later. But I'm really excited. So far, it's not absolutely horrible, but I guess you guys will be the final judge of that. So let's see.
Uh-oh.
What? Uh-oh what? I don't like uh-ohs.
Nothing.
Don't uh-oh me.
I made a mistake. We're fine.
You keep your uh-ohs to yourself.
Okay.
Anyway, you can always find us, if you want to listen to us live, as you might be doing right now, you can go to twitch.tv/RPMMORadio every other Saturday at 7 Central Time. You can also, of course, call in live if you go to rpmmoradio.com/discord and join our Discord server. All you got to do is... have something to talk into, like a microphone, and put yourself in our general voice chat, and then under the caller details, just let us know what you want to say. Sib and Jazz are going to be keeping an eye on that. So if you've got something related to our topic or something you just want to call in and talk about with Roleplay, feel free. We'll give you a couple minutes, and that'll be pretty much up to you after that point. Because if it's horrible, it's all on you. No pressure at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we'll remind you, it's something we've only, this last episode we did it, had a really good turnout. I know this time of year things, they wash in and out, holidays and all that, but it's going to happen. So we'll remind you of that every now and again throughout the show. Sorry. And also, and one other thing too, when it comes to getting the word of our show out for RPMMORadio, we've pretty much done everything we can do. I've, without being like one of those people that goes on completely unknown sites where they've never posted before and like, hey, this is a thing I do on a podcast. I don't want to be one of those podcasters that are just like, I run a podcast, it's like the first thing out of your mouth, like vegans and CrossFit people. We don't want to be those people. So we're going to ask you to be those people. Because let's be honest, we've done all we can do to get the word out for the show, and really there's nothing that works better than word of mouth from anybody that enjoys the show. That there's just something different when somebody that recommends a TV show, like when friends recommended that what was that show called? Oh, Firefly, even after it had already been canceled. I was like, it's canceled, why the hell would I watch that show? That's stupid. I've watched that show probably 5 or 6 times at this point, even though it's only 13, 14 episodes long. It's one of those things. So we basically, all we could do is we ask you guys, if you like what you hear, if you appreciate some of the humor and some of the stuff that we give out there, we would really appreciate it and be humbled if you would, let your guild members know, let other role players know, check in with us and give us a listen if you can convince them. We'd really appreciate it. Basically, you've got more power when it comes to spreading a word of anything than we ever do. So humbly, we ask that you might consider us worth a couple words of type and passing the word around, because really that's pretty much where we're at this point is just word of mouth. And We would appreciate that. So, now that that's over and I'm done pleading and begging for a wider audience,
Get off your knees, Ashton.
I was on my knees for actually a completely different reason.
Oh, okay.
Har, har, har,
I
har.
did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh my god.
My mind did not even go that direction.
I know. It was close, but no cigar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm glad Jazz got it.
Bad.
All right. So, ladies, what have we been doing in roleplay the last 2 weeks?
Last
Go for
2
it.
weeks.
Well, I mean, you
in
can go 3
roleplay,
if you want, but it kind of overlaps with the last show.
just role playing, developing my current main, which is Ciel's roleplay. She's met an interesting man, and she's kind of circling him, trying to figure out if she's serious about him or not. So it's been a lot of fun to go down that route.
It's always fun, the cat and mouse game, in
Yeah.
a relationship.
Even more than when you actually catch them, because then it can
Yes.
get really stale really fast if you're not careful. Just like a real relationship. Not looking
Yeah.
It's the build
not,
up. It's
not
the build up.
not naming any names. Names there, Sid, but,
No, never.
after the show, we need to have a talk.
Who? What?
Nothing. Oh, love you. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. So
I've got popcorn to throw tonight. So.
that's true. She was making popcorn for the shows. So she's kind of finally coming out of her, I don't know, personality wall shell, as it were.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
she's-
primarily what we do. And also our guild is still growing, so...
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I mean,
meeting
usually she's
people and-
sort of predatory when it comes to men, and just like she's just like uses them and throws them out.
Well, she maintains friendships with all of them.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but you know what I mean. Like emotionally,
yeah.
she's just like, well,
Emotionally, she's not connected to them, no. They're just friends. that
thanks
she
for the
happens to.
screwing.
Yeah, that's it. She's just like, thanks, and she moves on because that's not her thing. It's not, she doesn't want a relationship. This guy wanted a relationship and was very candid with her up front. And so that's never happened before.
Something a
And
little
then
more
it's just something
straightforward.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and even though they've discussed being only one-on-one, they've decided that that's not what she can do. So, they're just kind of taking it as it goes. And it's been a lot of fun to role play and roll dice and figure out what she'd do because I'm in uncharted territory with her. So
Yeah.
I'm rolling dice a lot more than I was before. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and you're definitely one of those. I always kind of go with my gut feeling and body check, or I guess not body check. We went and saw
Body
hockey
check.
last night. Mind check against the character. I know you're always far more dice oriented.
Yes,
only
I
do
always have been.
Dice things. Like if I come up something like, okay, I don't know if that's me or if that's the character, so then I'll use a dice. There's a few times, but yeah, you're way more dice oriented than I ever have been.
Body check. I just
Body
that was
check.
crazy. Yeah, it
Yeah.
instantly made me think hockey. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Not one damn fight the entire time.
no, but there was some really good hits.
Yeah. So what about you, Sib? You got something you've been doing? As I stutter here.
Just some random RP. I actually created a character to bring in Gil Jorian, which has been kind of awkward for me because you play a female in the
Mhm.
guild. So I rolled up a man.
Role reversal.
I'm not really good at the guy character, but I'm trying. And
Well, you've not been bad at it. It's just he's just quiet, which
Yeah.
for a lot of guys is pretty standard too. I mean, shoot,
did-
look at our son.
I do have to tell a really funny story because I thought I was gonna die laughing. The guild that you're in, it's very serious, I'd say.
hmm
And
Especially, in character,
Yeah.
very serious. Out of character, not so much.
yeah, well, in character, it's very serious, and it's all done mirror guild, and they they do sermons one night a week. I can't remember what night. What is
Thursday.
it? Thursday, and they yell out these words.
It's basically like the Catholic
don't know.
version, the Catholic version of the prayers that you say.
Yeah,
You all say in unison after the preacher says it.
amen.
Yeah.
But So they were saying the words, and I can't type that fast.
Hey, Altitude, Elm Civvy.
Yeah. So I was copying and pasting into the thing. Well, the first time I got it right. The second time I recopied what I had, and somebody goes, "Oops."
They changed it from Vivek or from Almalexia to Vivek.
Yeah.
And she didn't catch that.
I didn't catch it. One little word at the end, okay? Anyway, so somebody called me out on it, and I was like, oops. And Ashton's sitting there behind me, and he goes, just don't do it again. And I said, okay. So the next time they called it out, I copied the line, but I copied, like, the guy's name and the timestamp, and I pasted it in there, and I pressed enter.
What's great about this is because that line in Dunmiri, it's yelled out, it's shouted.
Yeah.
So it was in /yelled too, so it went really far.
So everyone's like, cheater in the guild chat, and I'm like, I turned beet red. And even the guy doing the sermon sent me a tell going, cheater.
Cheater.
With a big smiley face. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I know it happens, but that one just blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. I was so embarrassed the rest of the evening. I had a hard time actually concentrating on the RP. I was babbling and stuff.
She gut laughed so hard. She was like, I can't, I gotta stop laughing. It hurts my tummy.
Oh, my stomach was hurting. I couldn't quit laughing. But yeah, it was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Something I would do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it works for the most part. Just watch the timestamps.
Yeah. I need to make sure what I'm copying and pasting is correct, and it's not got a timestamp on it. But yeah. Nope, that was basically my RP.
That was your goofy ass story for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I also want to thank David R. Haley, who's also in the chat. His name has popped up pretty much everywhere. I appreciate you following us almost everywhere you can follow us, David.
Very much.
It's been awesome seeing you.
Thank you.
He's on He followed us on the Facebook, on the podcast here on Twitch. So appreciate it, buddy. Now everybody be like David. So as for me, I think I actually did this before the last show. I just forgot that I had done it, but I ran a training exercise on Tarvala, something that same guild does every Monday. Which is fun. It gives usually it's the officers that run and do it all the time, but they asked if somebody would step up. I think one of them wasn't going to be there on time, and the other one was feeling under the weather. Even though they both ended up showing up, they just didn't. I think there's always a difference between just showing up to an event and then also running it. It takes a lot more out of you, and I had no problem with that. It was actually a lot of fun, even though it was only like half an hour before. I'm like, actually, I already have several of them planned. So we basically did magical dodgeball, which everybody, spread off in pairs of two, faced each other, and through a basic rolling system, one would fire magic bolts at the other, and then that one would have to try to either counter them or, deflect them or somehow, and just back and forth. And of course, the first to three hits was the one that lost out, but everybody would have to do 20 push-ups per hit. And of course, it being the first time I ever had done something, my character was obviously the very first one out, because that's how dice rolls go when you run something and you're part of it. It always ends up failing on you horribly. But it was a lot of fun, at least I hope so. And beyond that, it's just been a lot of, just kind of personal roleplay stuff. Not personal, not like personal, but like, getting to know other characters and just talking to them down in kitchens and things like that, and in between missions and whatnot. A couple people got raised up and promoted, which is always fun. It's the same thing over and over, but it's one of those things that when someone gets promoted in a guild, it really is, especially in a lot of them, they work hard to get to that position. Jazz knows. We've had plenty of officer, or not even officer positions, just things where people have to work towards a certain aspect within the guild, and they hit that thing, and there's a ceremony, and it's yeah, it's kind of a silly thing, but just like anything, they earn that. They actually put some effort into it, so it's always worth showing up to let them know that you appreciate the time and effort they've put into it. Yeah,
totally.
So that was and our those like Jazz, they're not always the most exciting things to like, especially when you've done what was that one thing that I know every time you had to cringe at it, but it's just one of those things when you would give your spiel to all new characters, giving them the amulet back in Silver Circle.
My God.
You did that probably, I would say, hundreds of times.
More than that. Yeah, a lot.
And,
a year, hundreds of times a year.
Yeah, and it's just, but it had to be done. You have to let people know. And it was the same when they got promoted. There's certain things that, just certain traditions that a guild creates. And so, it's always cool to show up for that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But, even if it is just you basically standing there in gold armor with your arms behind your back, reading something you may have read before, but you're waiting to get through that part so that you can congratulate them in the end, and then role play with the stuff after the fact.
Right, and it was always nice because it put a lot of the guild rules and expectations in IC so that people were aware of it. But yeah, I mean, people were like, you should just macro that stuff, but I had it memorized, so I just typed it out.
Yeah, well, and it always changed. Like for what
Jazz,
these guys
you're
do.
An RP god.
Yeah.
What? Oh.
You're an RP god.
Yeah, but
I don't think that. But
for what Jazz did, it always the copy paste, it works to an extent, but then there's always interruptions and things like that. The good thing about like a ceremony for the ordinators, they do have it copy and pasted, but it's literally because the person before them says nothing, except for when they're asked to do it. They're part of a ceremony. Yeah. It's like
I did have macros.
Like getting a medal.
Yeah, I did have macros for like when we promoted people and they got cut. A lot of that
those
stuff
things
never changed,
but not the introduction of the. Here's your amulet.
I never had
the
because it always changed a little bit by the person that I was talking to, how they would respond if they were more intellectual.
Questions,
they asked questions. Yeah, so it was a lot harder to macro that, and I actually, even though there were times when I was like, usually I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to bring.
Yeah. It always depends, But then also, eventually, you started giving off to a few other people. I know I did it several times as well. But
I started training other people because we simply got too big. Yeah. And I was often having to do other things, and so I had other people start doing it. And I really think I wouldn't have burned out as hardcore as I did if I had done that more. Yeah. I really needed to have delegated what happened in the guild a lot more, and that's one thing that I tell new guild leaders when they're like, what should I do? And I say, 1, get an alt. Play it. Also your friend. Right. 2, delegate a lot.
Yeah, don't, it's fine to take it all on yourself when it's 10, 12 people, but even then, it starts stretching out, and you'll burn out quick. So, all right, so we actually have one, I don't know if anyone's noticed, we've actually not been doing news stories, mostly because, some of the stuff was kind of, I wanted it to always be roleplay related, and it never really was, some of it was neat, so we've not been doing them, also because the shows have been running so long with your guys' input, which, by the way, you can still call in rpmmoradio.com/discord and throw yourself into our general voice channel, and we'll have a chat with you. But this one, in particular, it's a story I heard actually on another podcast called LBR, Limit Break Radio. They do a Final Fantasy XIV podcast and something about general video games. I actually heard it on there, and it was such a weird thing, and it is directly related to really the ugly, ugly side of roleplay. I'm not even talking about ERP, which some people would consider, but it's the really ugly side of that because, we'll get into it, but it's the... they call it the World of Warcraft or WoW Rape Tavern, and we don't really do a lot of stories about these kinds of things, but part of what this is apparently is, and And for anybody that plays World of Warcraft listening, I apologize. I am curious because I saw a lot of comments on this from WoW players that basically completely dismissed that. And part of me understands because I think the rape tavern, the use of the word rape, that's a fairly serious thing, especially when it comes to online games where you can't actually rape anybody, with an avatar. It's more of a catchy phrase, but it's definitely all right, so I'll just go into it and then we'll hit this. Basically, there's a tavern in the place called the Goldshire, which I've actually heard of. The Goldshire is not a great place. It's had that reputation for years on years on years, but apparently it's always been kind of a ERP hub and an RP hub, and they interviewed, and comes from a place called Motherboard is the website. They're the ones that originally ran it. It's been picked up at a lot of places. But they interviewed about 40 people, 40 players across 21 different servers. And when they were talking to these people in-game, they basically constantly witnessed almost the same thing on every roleplay server. And what makes this a little different, when like... what was that? In Final Fantasy XIV, there's the Quicksand, which is known also kind of as an ERP hub. But the difference with that is, a lot of that goes privately, and it's not quite as bad as what this seems to make it out to be. But they followed a gal named, was it Clara? I believe it was. Clara, yeah. And she does ERP stuff. She actually does, cyber sex and things like that in Secret World. Not Secret World, Second Life. Sorry, I got my S's mixed up. To the point where apparently she actually gets paid as an escort and things like that virtually. So it's not. This is somebody that doesn't shy away from that stuff. I think Jazz. She's done a lot of ERP and things like that. She doesn't shy away from that. So, you got to really go out of your way to really, really go. Turn somebody off that actually ERPs and make them go, ew. But basically what they're doing, it was always a cyber sex hub and things like that. But it was always done privately. And basically what has happened now is like this is a screenshot that just shows somebody's like, yeah, so-and-so raped me 5 times yesterday. Like it's a casual thing. And that's not something you do casually. That's not something anyone goes bragging about or anything in real life. But what the people are doing is when they're going through, and this is also a quest hub apparently, there's certain emotes, like white splooshy particle effect emotes. Sploosh. So they'll basically do that all over people constantly. They were using the animations and stuff for that, but while they were doing that, okay, so I'll just read this paragraph because it said better than I can. Basically, this girl ended up deleting her character, and she never went back, and seems like she had seen cropped up during their reporting. While typing out our interview questions in the chat box, a number of half-naked avatars rubbed up against our female human. We were asked how much a session costs, whether we'd fuck for money in real life, and how old we were. They decided to leave the tavern, but the players followed them and kept basically harassing them. They continued to follow these people and doing these things and sending them nasty tells and things and say and all that. And I know you can always, put people on block, but when they're still following you and doing that kind of stuff, that's really ugly. I mean,
that's extreme trolling.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that they're doing it in the guise of roleplay is what really kind of is just nasty.
Well, yeah, it just seems to me that, I don't know how to put this into words. Hard.
English is a good start.
Very funny. When you have trolls that are doing this, and this happens in every game, I think the problem is that it's become accepted in this little area, and WoW has done nothing to crack down on it.
And that's Blizzard has done. They later on here in the article, they actually say they upped like patrols, like GM patrols in the area, and they wouldn't ban them, but they would give them like a timeout, like I guess a temporary ban. And apparently it's so infrequent, it has absolutely done nothing.
Well, of course not. If you know that that's the only thing that's going to happen to you, why do you care? Being banned and still charged for the game is far worse. And having somebody actually, you're banned for 3 months. You can cancel your account, but you can't come back until you're gone for 3 months. That is a financial penalty that hits people where it counts. And it's a very simple way to deal with it.
I think from this, they didn't say how long, but this honestly, this doesn't sound that long. It sounds like a 24 or 48 hour ban.
Right.
I don't even think ridiculous. It's that. Yeah, that's basically
that's ridiculous.
That's games, go play Overwatch. For 2 days.
Games need to understand that when you're dealing with trolls, when you're dealing with people who are harassing, that is bullying. Period.
Yeah.
It's the same mentality that we have in high school where they tell, oh, he didn't mean to hurt your feeling. No, this isn't about that. This is about power. Rape is about power. Bullying is about power. So you can use rape-like stuff and chase somebody off so they have to delete their character and you're still not going to do anything about that.
Yeah.
That's a problem because those people are bullies. And they have to be handled. And that's why I'm so angry with most games, including ESO, in the way that they handle bullies and trolls in general. They don't do anything about it. So there's no reason to stop the behavior.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that's going to happen to them.
And in this case, too, it's not even about, them trolling other role players and stuff. Because, I mean, when it comes to a lot of these games, role play is kind of like the bottom of the totem pole, like 2 steps under the face that was carved and they got shoved underground to support the rest of them. That's us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is they're following newbies too.
They're scaring people out of the game. They're hurting their own business by doing this, and it gives them a reputation they really don't want.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just like you did, Jazz, being new to the game, if I was to encounter something like that, I wouldn't go back.
No, and why would you? I mean, we have people that are role players that come into ESO to come to roleplay and encounter these idiots like Grim and never want to roleplay again. And, granted...
Not to name any names, Grim.
Grim is a troll. Grim is a horrible, horrible troll, and I hope he dies. Sorry.
I actually noticed the other day I was RPing with one from the guild, Lord Del Torre.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to pronounce his name. And then another person. And the trolls came in so thick and they started role-playing just crap or trying, like just doing stupid stuff and acting like they
in
were
the guise of
role-playing
roleplay.
Yeah, and so it was like so frustrating. So we just moved. We moved our RP somewhere else, but it's just...
But see, that's what they want.
Yeah, but it was shocking to actually see them. Normally they're just, being annoying, but they were actually like confronting us. Like my character, one of them came up behind me and was like, I was on the volley, and he's like, you're in my spot, pig nose, and I was like, I just instantly ignored him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's what you need to do.
You don't even have a pig nose. You have pig mouth.
And Delator, he's like, I can't believe he's still going on. And I said, oh, is he? Because I've had him on mute since he came up behind me. And he goes, are you kidding me? He's still going on. And I'm like, it was funny. I started laughing, but bling.
They hate me so much at this point that they're now making copies of my tunes.
Yeah.
Because I've angered them to that point. No, they made a copy of my tune called The Good CL.
Of course, in ESO that doesn't make any difference because the names can't be hidden.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really work, and so that's to me. I mean, I normally do not react to the trolls at all. They're on ignore. I pretend they don't exist, and I roleplay like they don't exist, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But
as you should, don't feed the trolls.
This one actually, when I saw my character, he didn't do very good with the face, but the rest of it was pretty good. and I saw it, I laughed. I LOL in say because I couldn't help it. It was just so freaking funny, and it made him mad because I just laughed. That's all I did. It was just funny to me. And then he sat on my character while he roleplayed.
Yeah.
And to me, I just put him on ignore, and I ignore him, and I tell everybody to do this. And there are some people that they move, they try to get away from them, they tell them to stop it.
Yeah,
that just feeds them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When they sit down and you really do just have to just be cool,
Yep.
And then if you leave the area, but do that on your own time and make sure that you don't feed them.
No.
Yeah, because by seeing you leave and to go, you're telling them they won, and I'm too damn stubborn for that.
Well, it was funny. We just went to the other tavern in Riften. We just walked across basically the street and went to the other tavern.
Yeah.
And other RPers actually slowly filtered in to hang out with it. So it was kind of neat. But no, if you're a new person though, and you encounter something like that, I mean, now that I've been a little bit of experience, I would have just left the game.
Yeah.
I would have just got upset and left the
Yeah, well, and as this goes on, so this is something else I wanted to get into because there's, I mean, as an adult, and you obviously too as women, rape isn't something it's not something you really, even I don't really joke about that stuff. I joke about everything, but it's just, there's some things even I don't go into, but basically, as they continue on with this, they said, after 3 such advances, we decided to change our strategy and directly address the attacker. Because the guy had basically, when he was following them, he said they learned that when people run, they find it really hot. They actually, when they flee, they feel like it's a real rape at that point.
Yeah.
And so
God.
Right. So when they addressed the attacker trying to do so, they basically said that, quote, rape is also a type of erotic roleplay, said the night elf, and who a few moments before said in the tavern he'd fuck me unconscious. Someone listening in on them agreed and said it's just lewd behavior, nothing more. So I honestly, I don't understand that kind of mindset myself. Like, I understand ERP. I mean, I understand the intimate stuff with that. I can actually get that, but the actual out of character mindset that
it's a predator.
Right.
And if they're doing it in game, there's a good chance they're doing it in real life.
That's what
People who are comfortable with this are going to be doing it elsewhere.
Right. Is it a symptom of something that's wrong with the person? Or my other thought too is this as like teenage kids that honestly have no frame of reference. They're literally just that stupid that they think that this is just some casual.
Well, they've been taught that it's casual.
Right. If it's some teenage kid doing this that thinks it's okay, that kid's parents screwed up.
Right. It's the same way. It's the same thing. Okay, and I'm not going to say it because honestly, I feel like I could say it for the conversation, but I'm honestly not comfortable saying the word, the N word, the word for black people that one should not say. I'm not even comfortable saying that in the frame of an intellectual conversation. But when you get online and you see it in voice chat, if you play online games, you can like PUBG or anything on Xbox. Man, these kids that are in this teenage age group, man, they just say it over and over and over. They have absolutely no context as to to what it is that they're saying and how utterly vile they're being, except I think they actually do know, and that's exactly why they do it, because it's the shock jock, the Howard Stern kind of thing.
Yeah.
It has gone so far in 2017 that to be shocking anymore, you have to say something like, I raped her 5 times. I like it when you run, N-word. That's about the only shocking thing left, and which doesn't make it okay, but that's the only mindset I could see that would make somebody think something like that is okay.
And God help my children if I ever hear. I mean, I have one of my sons who has been a bully before, and I have walked in and watched him doing it.
Yeah, I remember you telling that story.
Yeah, and
online.
I yanked him off of line. I yanked him into my room, and we had a very long talk. And said, the next time I catch you doing that, not only will you lose your computer, but you'll be scrubbing my floors on your hands and knees.
With your tongue.
I was just so freaking mad. I cannot stand bullying. So it's important to enforce that thoroughly.
Yeah, and I've heard, our son, he's getting up there. He's about mid-teens. Is he 14 now, hon? 14, going to be 15 here at the end of the year. Well, that's what I was thinking. But, we hear him. He's got a computer. He plays PUBG, but he's playing it with guys that he's kind of become friends with. And I hear him up there, through his door that's closed, drop an F-bomb or like, what the hell? Or shit, that was, But it's one of those heat of the moment things. He's a teenager. I was cussing like crazy. If he does it in front of me, I'm probably going to backhand him. Or his mom. I wouldn't backhand him, but he would be in a world of shit.
Okay. Looks like we've got a caller, Ashen.
Oh, right. Okay, let me finish let's finish up this conversation.
Okay.
Appreciate you letting me know that. We'll get to you here in just a sec, Mikey. But it's what kids are going to curse online, and that's one thing. I don't mind him dropping an F-bomb now and then, especially when he got sniped out of nowhere. I understand that. I understand totally. Dropping a what the fuck? Where's this asshole? Or something like that. He's in it. He thinks he can't be heard. And actually, I've teased him. I was like, man, you must have been having a really rough night. He's like, why do you say that? I can hear you through your door. You were sucking it tonight. And he just gets kind of red, and he's like, yeah, you heard me. He's like, yeah, just keep it down, buddy. And I could get onto him. It's not going to make a difference in what he does with his, when he's at school, he's cussing in front of his kids. As long as he doesn't do it to an adult and he's always respectful to people, which he is, and he's an amazing kid, and it's the only reason I give him that leeway. But I can tell you right now, if I heard through that door, I'm going to rape her, or you N-word, I would pull that door off its hinges so fast and have his I'd have a brand new computer sitting right over here. So, there's no tolerance for that kind of behavior. And
so if you're seeing that in a game, you know that their parents are tolerating it on some level, or they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Or even worse.
Or they weren't brought up, understanding that's not acceptable.
Yeah. And I don't know what's worse, the fact that they would tolerate it, or the other option, that they have absolutely no clue.
That's true too. They may not be aware.
Which one's worse? Because that means you're paying that little attention.
I think that if you're paying that little attention, I do try to let my kids have their own life online, and I don't interfere, even though I don't agree with a lot of stuff. Like my son, who's turning into a little shit sometimes online with some of his opinions. I have to take a deep breath because he will grow out of this, and I know that I correct it when it gets bad, but for the most part, I keep my head out of it. But I am paying attention. Yeah. So either they're paying attention and it's not disagreeable to them, or they're just not paying attention. And I honestly think the secondary is worse because, like you said, if they're just trying to shock someone, they're trying to get attention.
Yeah.
And that's just bad all the way around.
And that's the other problem I have with this is they're doing all this rape and sexual stuff. They're talking about dongs and vages and this stuff and all that. These kids there could be kids playing this, 12 years old. There could be 10-year-olds. There could, your kids could be playing this, Jazz, as well could mine. And they could, and this is a main hub area. So they could be bumping into this kind of language. And I understand they're online. There's certain depths of things that they're going to come across, they better not be searching for it. But, there's language and stuff. But this goes into such a harassment and such a, like some of these people were, they're hitting people up for cell phone numbers and real life pics. I mean, they're basically they're creepers. They're the creepy,
it's a creepy place.
Blacked out van driving through the neighborhood. It's that. It's that kind of creepy.
I've had that happen with my sons when they were younger and they were playing like Roblox and Minecraft, and one particular instance where someone was really haranguing on my older boy. And he was in tears, and he was really upset. So I walked by and I saw him. What's the matter? And he was like, this guy did this and this and this, and I'm really pissed at him. So I go in, I look on the screen, and the things that he was saying to my son were so far beyond okay, just for an adult to an adult. The N-word and a couple of other things.
Right.
And I go down there, and I said, hello, this is this boy's mother, and he is 11, and you have 30 seconds to stop talking to him like that.
Yeah.
And he said what he thought about me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't kind.
Huh.
And I said, thank you, screenshot it, and then I had him banned. And he was banned. They contacted me because I contacted them back and they're like, we really can't tell you. I said, no, you totally can, or I can get an attorney.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's it's underage stuff, and that's the thing.
And he did. They're like, he was banned, and he has not returned. And I'm like, good, because if he does, and he comes near my son, you're gonna wish he hadn't.
Yeah, and I'm not. Don't get us wrong. We actually, I have a lot of respect for Blizzard and WoW, but this isn't a failing of Blizzard's so much as it's a failing of game developers.
The entire community of MMOs tolerate this kind of behavior for financial reasons, and I totally understand those reasons, but this is a community that must be policed.
And I'm a hardcore capitalist guy. I mean, Jazz knows that.
Oh yes.
Sib knows that. But I'm also, the whole greed is good. There's a certain aspect to it, but it also has to be measured with doing the right thing. If your end all be all goal is to make nothing but money and not doing the right thing, you're not earning. That's not the way you make money. And I don't know what that is, Jazz, but it's really loud.
Sorry. I'm terrible. I will stop.
I heard that earlier. I was like, what is that? But
dang it, it's not supposed to pick up on those sounds.
No, those high pitched. I'm gonna assume clippers that it's such a high pitched sound.
I broke a nail and it's driving me insane.
Ooh,
okay, I will behave. Anyway,
but
do we want to let this guy in?
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Let me grab Mikey here.
Oh, we were gonna do that.
Oh,
okay.
That's cool.
Tell us we're supposed to do it. And
I
take
know.
away our job.
Yeah. But all right. So we'll go ahead and go live to Mikey. Hey, how's it
Mikey.
going, Mikey?
Hi there. I was not prepared for that.
Oh.
Hello.
All right. If you want, I can put you back on hold, and then you can come back to it right away.
We're never prepared either.
You're all right. What's up, Mikey? What you got?
I was actually going to talk about an earlier comment, which I just hopped into. I apologize.
No, you're all right.
There was an earlier comment, I think someone said, chances are if they're talking about it, they might be doing it for real life too, or something.
Yeah, I think that was Jazz.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not advocating for that type of behavior. Disclaimer here. I'm just posing a devil's advocate argument where just because they think it doesn't mean that they'll act it out. And the story I point to here was, I think, way back in 2014 when a cop was convicted for, quote-unquote, planning to do something horrible to his wife, which he derived some sort of kink from. The judge and jury eventually acquitted this charge because, whereas he was thinking it, there was no evidence showing that
he actually did it. I think I remember that. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it was the action versus thought policing, because people are.
It's not about thought police. What it's about is that this is a community, and as the law and the laws have not caught up to this. Most of the laws are still catching up for online bullying, which has kids have bullied other kids to commit suicide.
Have a whole lot of. There's only
we don't have a lot of laws
convictions,
for this. Because it's all talk, and so it's really hard to understand. But it's not. It's a virtual reality. Therefore, what you're doing in a virtual reality affects people in a virtual way, which I just went from one type of virtual to the other. So follow me on that. Virtually doing something to someone and having intent enough to go through it virtually, to describe it, to act on it in game. That's not just talking about it. That's not just thinking about it. That's action. You have to type those things. You have to be those things. Mm-hmm. So it's a physical act, and that's why it's worrisome. I'm not saying that they are going to do it. I'm saying that
it's like, I mean, like if you went off, like writers, if you went off of what Stephen King has written, that dude is the biggest racist, and he also has a lot of demons in his closet. Yeah, obviously he can come up with these things, and obviously it's just his writing.
And he's
style.
Totally not a racist, but the things that he writes about make you take a step back. Right, he knows about it. He's writing what he knows about, but he's also not going out in Twitter and everywhere else and threatening people and talking about what he's going to do to them if he ever sees them.
It's definitely a blurry line, and he, obviously you're right, because a lot of these people, I guess we really don't know, as far as we know, aren't actual rapists, but there is also, that's also a horrible, sorry, you guys just made me think, it's also an unfortunate outlet for people that say aren't allowed within 1,000 feet of a school to
Yes.
have that outlet as well. And again, I understand what you're saying too, Mikey, that it very likely isn't, probably what one in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 would even probably have the thoughts in real life when they look at somebody, and even fewer would probably act on it. But it is worrisome, and it is a possibility all the same, which is, I know Jazz and we all speak in generalities a lot of time, but it's, it is something, I do understand what you're saying. It's just, it's still
This
just
makes
an
me
ugly
think of
place.
But there's always consequences. If you come out and you call someone the N-word, you can get banned from that
True.
chalkboard. If you call someone a name and say you're going to come find them and kill them, you can be kicked out of a job. You can be fired just for saying that.
Mhm.
There are consequences to our words. And all I'm saying is maybe not legal consequences, but certainly a consequence in a game where you are harassing other players.
Well, there should be. The problem, I think,
Right.
is
There
with this
isn't.
the game. With
Yeah.
the game is that there isn't. Yeah.
Right. What I'm saying is that there should be. Not, that they necessarily are doing it in real life, but it's certainly something to look at and say, they're comfortable enough to do this on a regular basis in this stalker-like bully mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take a look at, socially, we need to be more aware. Like they used to say 50 years ago that if a person abused a dog, who cares? And we quickly came to understand through
That's the process of a serial killer for a long
right,
time.
that people who abuse animals will abuse children, even though they're not abusing children. If given the choice, they may, and they often do statistically. So, and there's never been a study to correlate those two, so there's no way to know. But it's certainly something that I've seen myself, and that I've heard about in real life, where art does mimic life, and like life mimics art. So.
That lines get blurred comment.
Yes, it does.
Reminds me of a thread that was posted up on the ESORP forums not too long ago. I think it was posted by Darzinski, if that name rings a bell, where it talked about the future of IC and OC. I don't know if you had that.
Oh, I think I was.
Don't get me started.
I actually was in that conversation. I was one of the ones that was getting onto him for the way he was talking. That was actually me. Yeah.
I read over that, and it reminds me though, like, where does IC and OC go from here? As people try to mimic, the developers try to mimic authentic experiences within the game. Yada yada yada. So, do you think that as technology progresses, as game development progresses to the point where maybe we might get VR games?
I think that's
behavior?
That VR games, it's only a matter of time. There will.
Right.
I'm
There
waiting.
will eventually
I'm waiting
be
for
there.
the day for the EverQuest, which was the first big MMO that really made it mainstream in 3D. Well, 3D in the terms of the monitor, but there will be a version of that one day.
Well, if they don't set fire to the whole thing.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, it's in.
There will be games
Oculus,
where it is virtual.
Oculus
yeah,
just announced
yeah.
Oculus Go, which is a $200. It's a middle step between the phone VR and their $400, $500 set, which will come out next year. So that will happen, and I think some of the lines will blur a little bit, but like I was saying in that thing, the out of character and in character, they're always going to be separate. Because even if we go to the point where it's like to use an anime reference, Sword Art Online or Dot Hack, where they're full on dive virtual, that's Matrix type shit, and you're actually talking to people instead of typing it out. I think even in role play, I would not play myself in it as a character. I would play as somebody else, and then there would still be me as Ashton Phoenix or Mike, as it were, which is my real name. And,
Hey, Mike's.
Yeah, that's
Hey.
right. Yeah, that's why I remember you. You're easy to remember, Mikey.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So those lines like that, but when it comes to that stuff, I actually think when eventually we do progress to be VR, hopefully by this time we have shit like this, rape tavern stuff figured out, because I've only had a chance to use minor VR. I've only done it with my phone and like a Google Cardboard, and it's pretty damn cool, and it really will dive you in there. And I know from people that have done the real stuff that I've watched the videos of people trying to reach down on the floor virtually, and they put their hand on the virtual table in real life, and then they fall flat on their face because it's that realistic. So when we
Right.
get to that point and people are, they're saying these comments to you and it looks like they're saying it directly to your face, that's going to be a real problem if they don't have this stuff straightened out by
And
the
I think
time
the
we get
laws,
to that point.
hopefully the laws catch up. I mean, they are making strides. They did have that girl that, told this guy to kill himself, and he did. And,
Yeah,
the laws are trying to catch up. It's just going to take a while.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll catch up by the time that VR comes out?
No, I don't think it will. I think we're going to deal with this in a very ugly way at first until people get a handle on it.
The way I just saw, Fortnite. I forget who makes Fortnite. It's the new, it's like a version of PUBG that's made by another game developer. They're actually suing 2 players right now for over $100,000 for constant cheating. They're related to a cheating gaming site, and they would ban these people. They created over 9 separate accounts, and they would continue to cheat. And so they're actually pursuing them legally because they were violating, the terms of service of the game and the spirit of the game. And every time they were doing this cheating stuff on every one of their new accounts, they were ruining it for everybody else. They were hacking and things like that. So they were ruining it for, hundreds of people before each time they would get caught. So they were taking legal measurements to try to stop this before it really gets off the ground.
And terms of service will...
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. As a... Oh, what's that called? No, it just left my brain. God damn it.
And to Jay the Exile, actually, you're already in our Discord server, so all you have to do is click on there and just go to the general chat and put yourself in our general voice chat, and then let us know what you want to say. So, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it will eventually catch up, but law being law, I mean, it took 30 years for equal rights for black people to actually hit the courts and start being dealt with.
Yeah.
So,
the law
it's
it's
always behind.
It's always behind, and on technology, it's even even further behind. They still don't, what was it, with Apple when they were trying to get the FBI was trying to get information from Apple on one of their suspects. They didn't have any, they didn't have a warrant. If you have a warrant, obviously they have to do it, but they didn't. They just wanted Apple to give this information, and they were like, no, you need a warrant. You need to, and a lot of times these companies will work with the government and things like that.
But they didn't have enough to get a warrant. There was no way for their prima facie case to order such a thing, and so there was no way for that's why they were banking on that. And
it's going to be an ugly. There's going to be a
terms
time
of
period.
Service. Terms of service is enforceable. And
it's a legal document we all agree on every time we log into our games.
So bullying is a distinct and direct violation of TOS. So it is enforceable, and I think eventually when the games start to be, when there's so many people making games that the competition has forced everyone to pay attention when they lose. Losing a few gamers turns in, as we found out with running a guild, one person leaves, then 3 other people leave, then 4 other people leave. It just happens. Mm-hmm. So you start bleeding memberships, it only gets worse. And I think eventually they will understand that. But right now, when you have millions and millions of subscribers, what's a few people?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. You got anything you want to say? Wind it up there, Mikey.
Well, I was just going to talk about, or I was just going to bring up a topic for discussion when, when you get really, really into a scene, right? Mm-hmm. And it affects you on a OOC emotional level.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we haven't got there yet, but since you're already here, go for it.
Okay. So I mean, I was just going to discuss that, how do you guys usually step away if it comes up, or how do you understand that, okay, I'm really invested in this scene OOC-ly?
It depends if it's positive or negative. If it's positive, I sit there and I clap my hands like an idiot. Like when something goes funny or I get off a good joke, I'm like, that was funny. Right. Yeah.
I mean, because some of the the nature of RP, and this is just a personal observation, but the nature of RP is that you're actively, in my opinion, seeking out drama in order to advance the story. Right?
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
So we can never really control which way the drama goes, if it's positive or negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes when you do reach that level, when you're so immersed in it suddenly takes a sour turn, it tends to lead to catastrophic consequences, don't you think?
Right. Well, yes, but, like I roll dice, which helps me because I am a very emotional, empathic person. So when I am having a very intense scene, the dice give me a degree
It takes the
of
control
separation.
out of your hand.
Right. So I'm not reacting to it. Now, I watch a scary movie, my heart beats faster. I watch a sad movie, I cry. The same thing happens when I'm in game and something's happening that's emotional. I may get teary, but dice control my character, so I don't have to worry about it affecting the way that I roleplay because I'm one step away from my character. But everybody, I think, unless you're really just not really into anything but ERP, really get emotionally involved in your characters. They're your characters, they're your stories. The same thing as when you're reading a book. I mean, you read a sad book, don't you get teary?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Jazz.
Snake
I look at
kills
it as
Dumbledore.
like it's a book. I'm writing a book or a story with other people, and, it's going to make me sad, but it's a story,
Yes. That distance is necessary, and if it starts to not be separate, and everybody has had those moments. I used to run a guild that was dark RP, and it would get extreme. And there were days, and you can ask Xanis, I just had to say, I will be right back, and go AFK in the middle of a scene because I needed to take a breath. It was getting too intense.
And I have moments, too, where, when something doesn't go the way, when there's basically it's like a disagreement of lore or something like that, and, so the argument starts of who's right, who's wrong, which is kind of an out of character thing. But even that, I can get pretty ticked off and pretty defensive when it's like, okay, well, it works both ways. You're just deciding, to do it this way instead of that way. But you could always meet in the middle and get, everyone would be happy. But there's a lot of times, I'll have to take a breath, walk off, have the character walk off or something like that. Maybe go AFK, flush the toilet a couple times, completely unrelated. It's just a nervous tick I have. It's those damn toilets. They had it coming. But yeah, that's why we do it. Like you said, I've had a lot of really emotional moments. I know when my character, Xanis, as Jazz said, died, I was told by several people that, Jazz herself said she teared up, because I was leaving the game.
I did.
When I was leaving the game. Yeah.
It was sad.
We made it very dramatic, and it does
because,
affect you. But that was, of course, that's a good way, but...
well, it can also be negative, I suppose, if you look at it that way, if you let it influence you or you get upset or angry.
Yeah. And
it's a damper on your day.
It really can. Or the reverse, when your damper on your day makes your RP negative, and it just continues.
Sure.
It just continues that shit day you've already had because you're in such a your nerves are raw on an edge, and
yesterday
somebody says something to you, and you're like,
I did not roleplay yesterday.
Yeah, you take it wrong. You're like, fuck you.
Yeah. And when that happens, all you can do is just take a breath. It happens to everybody. Everybody, something hits them sideways. As a guild leader, I've had people fly in my face. I see and I feel myself start to take it personally. I have to take a step back because it just happens.
It's definitely a hard thing too when you play a villain character, which, a lot of your characters have been, or they're confrontational, Jazz, and they...
Yes. My characters are usually that way, yes. Yeah. Now, Karina was evil, and she had an evil bent on everything that she did, and it was very... And that's why I adult.
And it can get to you, yeah. Yeah, it's... also, there's a lot of alcohol involved.
Maybe for you.
It may not be.
For me.
It's probably a much longer answer, but for a short, dirty, ugly version, that's probably about the best we got for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have alcohol with you.
That's right.
So this last topic, I swear, I'll stop prattling. But the earlier talk about being guild leaders and all that, I tend to notice that you tend to learn a little bit, Sealy, from leading a guild.
Very quickly.
Oh, yes. Yes, you learn your limits. Skills, you learn how to, which was hard for me because I'm an type A personality, and I had to learn how to delegate. And that is probably the single most important thing that I have learned in running a guild in real life.
One of the things, yeah, I agree with you there. One of the things that I learned was that I used to run a guild on the EU side of things over there on the Old Republic. So a lot of the times I was just cranky because time zones are a bitch and sleep's not exactly that good. But anyway, one of the things that you learn is that you always got to leave everything at the door, no matter, or at least in my opinion, you got to leave everything at the door when you shift into guild leader mode. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if your car broke down in the middle of the highway and you had to spend 3 hours trying to push it all the way to the gas station. You know, you don't let that take you off because you need a clear mindset to be making decisions.
Right. And if you can't get there, you shouldn't log in as your leader character.
Yeah.
Because we're human, and it's good. There's been a couple of, I remember once where Xanax had to step in and say, dude, you need to log out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Think he had to do it. Yeah, I remember you doing it though.
Something with your, I think there was something in your family, or your mom, or your I think, or it might have been one of your kids that had been sick or having, something had.
There was something.
Really
I remember I was
family.
under a lot of stress, and I was about to snap, and I was taking things personally, and I was having Baka act out something that was kind of out of character for her. So he stepped in and he point blank told me, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're right," and I apologized to the guild, and I logged out. I didn't come back for 2 days because I needed to reset.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately we're all only human. I know when we talk about the stuff on the show, we say it as though it's obvious and it's common sense, and in some cases it is, but knowing what you need to do and actually always being able to do it in the exact moment it needs to be done are totally different things. I know I shouldn't lose my temper at work when someone does something stupid. Still lose my temper at work when someone does something stupid.
It's nice to have people around you that you trust, when you RP, just like Ashen and Jazz. I mean, they can tell each other stuff like that. Hey, something's wrong. You need to take a break. And that's, being a guild leader, you need to have those people around you that are willing to step up and say that.
And in real life, you need them too. So if
yeah.
there's anything that you learn by doing this is you identify those people in your real life as well who step up and say, dude, maybe you need a timeout.
Yeah.
So
go sit in the corner, Jazz.
Yeah, I don't give timeouts to my kids as often as I give them to myself or my husband. I'll give them to him or he'll give them to me. The other day, my 13-year-old was just sending my husband into orbit, and I walked in between them and I said, you need to go for a walk. You need to go to your room. And sent my 13-year-old to his room, and Jason went outside and screamed at the trees for a while. So, it's important to be able to do that in real life too.
Yeah. Ashen's had to do that for me and our daughter a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah, she was a teenager.
Yeah. God.
High school. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah. So, well, I appreciate you calling in, Mikey.
Thanks. It's good
Yeah.
being here.
I hope we answered your questions.
Yeah.
I always like to have deep conversations.
Yeah. Well, quit it. We're very surface people here.
Oh, stop.
Especially Jazz. Very superficial. But no, appreciate you calling in, Mikey. Hope you have a good night, and thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Same
thank
to
you.
See you guys later.
See ya.
All right. Before we get to Jay the Exile, that was basically just our news segment, and we're an hour and 10 minutes into the show.
This is going to be a long one.
It's going to be a long one. So before we get to our main topic here, and we'll get to you here in just a couple minutes here, Mike, or not Mikey, but Jay the Exile. We'll go ahead and do a word from our sponsor. Okay, I just forgot how to do what I was doing. Word from our sponsor. I'm sorry. I'm blanking. I'm supposed to do an English accent, and it's anyway. All I can think of is Scottish, and that's totally not the way I'm supposed to do it. I knew this would happen. 19 episodes in, and I finally flubbed one totally. Just fucked it up. Okay. Tired of living your life the way the world wants it? Has the endless grind of life got you down? Do you long to meet new and interesting people without having to actually meet new and interesting people? We here at RPMMO's Ministry of Artificial Research, Science and Ecology, or MARS, have pulled out a few things for you. Through our patented VR system of gaming, you can meet people from all over the world that will make you laugh, cry, get annoyed with, remind you why you hated high school drama, and still somehow keep you coming back for more. You'll meet amazing people 97.8% of the time, which are good, honest, normal people just like you. The other percentage is a grab bag of unknown dementias, psychological damage that would require a court order in the real world. But you can deal with that via our very basic commands like /balk and /ignore. Unfortunately, not available in the real world. You might very well find a lifelong friend or even a life partner, though what happens outside our world is not covered by the terms of service. So come, join us here at RPMMO's Mars, where you'll never know what might shake out. How do you know it's worth it? Well, unlike other podcasts, I can speak in a fake English accent. Almost. Alright, there we go. I totally couldn't get in the mindset after the conversation.
That was awesome. Oh, good thing there was mute.
To any
British,
to any British or European listeners, I apologize.
That was great.
Yeah, but yeah, so there we go. All right. Again, we'll get here to Jay. We'll get you here in a second, but on to our main topic. I actually have one thing here.
Yeah.
It's kind of important just because it's one of our own, and we, as you heard in our last episode, we already had this topic planned out, and about a week ago, I heard about what had happened to, he's a role player in ESO. I'm going to probably butcher the name because I always do, but it's Regnar Majer. He's a guild leader of House Majer, like I said, role player in ESO. He unfortunately lost everything he owned in a house fire. Let me... Here, hold on one sec here.
Do you want me to post the pictures?
I got them. There we go. If you're in our Discord, that is unfortunately what is left of his house. His car was within 20 feet. It burned down as well. Basically, I got in contact with Jinx from his guild when I had found out to see if they were doing some sort of GoFundMe or something like that. But basically what happened was there was his cousins were over and they had a kid who wasn't being looked at quite as well as maybe he should have been at the time, which is unfortunate. He got accidentally started a kitchen fire, and by the time Regnier realized what was happening, it was too late. And this, I'm reading from what Jinx has told me. He was able to get his grandparents out of the house, suffering minor first and second degree burns along the way. By the time everyone was safe, the fire had could not be gotten back under control. About 2/3 of his house was destroyed. The roof collapsed in on the house itself, and basically what is left is structurally unsound. So the house is going to be a total loss. He lost everything that was in his room, in his vehicle. He's basically lost everything except for a couple knickknacks. He managed to survive the fire and the 1/3 of the house that wasn't burnt, and the clothes on his back. So he has no computer. He's being put up at a hotel by the Red Cross, and it's really unfortunate. And when we brought up this topic of how real life affects, or roleplay affects real life, one of those ways is the people and the community itself and how it helps our own, either through tragedies like this are very rare. Even deaths, I've only, over the 10 plus years, there's been a few of them. We know we had one of them recently, and there's been several others. The community is usually so large that when it happens, you might hear about it even if you didn't know them, and it's still unfortunate. So since we reached out to them, I asked if they had something, and they didn't do a GoFundMe because I guess someone had convinced them not to. But he does actually have a PayPal account. So if anybody out there, I know I'm not asking you to do anything you can't afford. If you can give $1, $5, 10,000, if you could spare it, I'm sure he'd appreciate that. But even $1, if you can throw the guy $1 his way, he's lost all he has. He's living in a hotel room run by the Red Cross. You can just send it to foxfang6@yahoo.com, and that's FOXFANG, the number 6@yahoo.com. And I will go ahead and put that, actually, when I post it on the podcast, we'll go ahead and put it there, and I'm going to throw it in the Discord right there, so you, minus the period at the end, which is stupid. I don't know why I copied that. But on behalf of RPMMORadio, we did give what we could towards him, as well as to help him get back on his feet and get back in the game. It's just one of those things, if we can help our own, give them a hand. Like I said, $1, $5. Sometimes it's not even the amount of money that will help out. Just him knowing in this time of need that there's people out there that actually are at least thinking of him, praying for him. If you don't pray, thinking about him, throwing the good vibes or whatever you might do. Everything like that helps, and
that people actually care.
That people give a shit. And honestly, we do. Every time somebody passes away or something like this happens, it is fairly rare. These things don't happen very often. They really don't. Most people will go their entire life without having a house fire, let alone one as catastrophic as this. So, and I can only imagine. I've actually been in one myself. It wasn't my house. It happened on a mail route, and I helped an old lady, Miss Birchwood, get out of her house that was on fire, and her roof also collapsed in on the house, and it was terrifying. It's not like the movies make it out to be. If the fire was as out of control as it sounds like it was, and he got burned. I didn't even get burned. He was close enough to the fire to take burns. It's an inferno of hell. It's not like you see the firefighter movies and they can still see and there's still visibility and all that. The lower you are to the ground, yes, that does work, but there's a point, especially with modern stuff, that it's just a London fog. You can't see more than 6 inches in front of your face, except for the unfortunate glowing bright spots off in the distance where the actual flames are. That's the only thing you can see. So I can't imagine the worry and everything he had to go through while getting his grandparents out, getting his cousins out, making sure that kiddo got out of the house and that everyone was safe, to the point where, because he was doing that, he lost everything he owned. So it's very unfortunate, and our hearts and everything go out to him from RPMMORadio here. And if you guys can help him out, awesome. If you can't, that's I understand. Everyone's financials are different. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like we're guilting you into it. We just wanted to bring this to your attention, and so if you can help, throw a little love his way, and if you can't, even if you
send good thoughts.
Even if you look up their guild and send them if you go to House Magere and Google it on Engine, you can probably do in their shout box and just let them know you're thinking of him, and hope that he gets back in game and back on his feet and makes a full recovery. So that's that. So that's one part of it. That's one of the major things that kind of comes up. So we'll go ahead. Since we're gonna do Jay the Exile, do one of you guys want to do it now, so that I don't get chewed out, since it's your responsibility now?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So we'll bring Jay on here, and but yeah, appreciate you guys doing that if you can, and then, like I said, and if not, don't worry about it.
It's not
cool.
showing him muted. You said it would show him muted.
Oh, maybe it's just on my end, so I'll undo it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So all right. So we bring on Jay the Exile. Jay, are you there?
Hi, Jay.
Yes, I am. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Yay!
Glad to hear from you, man.
Hey, it's good to be back. I think I was here, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last episode. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to add my, very, very quickly, because you pretty much touched on it all yourself. I wanted to add my condolences towards Tangent and Fox, head of House Magere. He and I haven't gotten along a lot in role play, out of character wise, or even in character wise.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody, no matter your opinion on their individual deserves to have that kind of travesty affect them and their family. So
Yeah.
if anybody can donate, I'm planning on donating myself. Just anybody who can, nobody deserves that kind of thing. So I just want to add that very quickly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's one of those things, I think I've seen him a few times, and I'm not sure if I even like the character or not, but I don't know whose cat that
Really?
is. That yours? Is that yours?
That's mine.
Oh,
I'll be right
Who's the
back.
cat?
man.
That cat is objecting to charity.
Somebody get the Argonian and feed it to him. So, yeah, but no, I appreciate you saying that, because, yeah, even if you don't get along with, there's a difference between online quibbles and quarrels and in-character quibbles and quarrels, and there's plenty of people I don't see eye to eye with, but should something like this ever come up, yeah, that's when you put that stuff away and you do what you think you can do.
God, I hope if my house ever burned down and I lost everything I owned, people would help me out just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there's always the Red Cross. No, no, it is the exact same thing. Hopefully that would never happen, but yeah, I'm sure it would happen.
No, I actually learned more just by listening to you guys than I had through the kind of the rumor mill. And if the Red Cross is hosting him, I know he's being hosted well. I was in
they'll do good.
I was in the Army, and the Red Cross is basically the emergency messaging system for anybody in the armed forces. So if you have somebody pass away or, get extra sick or whatever, your family contacts the Red Cross, and they find you faster than any government bureaucracy or military bureaucracy.
That's nice to know.
Yeah, that's good to
Yeah.
know. And also, thank you for your service, by the way. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Sorry.
I know. I know soldiers hate when that happens, but I'll be honest, I do appreciate it, and when it comes up, I always thank them. So
we only hate it because we're not used to being polite.
yeah, that's right. All right. Well,
we
how's
never
this?
know their polite response.
Go. We appreciate your service. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
There you go. He's comfortable with that.
There.
Throw some popcorn.
I'm just here to make you comfortable, buddy. So no, I'm glad you said that. And so what else did you have?
So I actually kind of wanted to comment on something a little while back.
Go ahead.
I apologize. It took me a little while. For some reason, my brain wasn't working, so it took me a while to figure out what I was supposed to do as far as getting back into the channel.
Oh no, that's
No, it's okay. It's just it's just
We're
the
new to
thing
this
you've already
too. It's
done
okay.
once. I don't know why you can't get it straight first, a second time. I mean, just
what is this? Our 19th time, and we're still not getting it right.
It's that southern education. You know what I'm saying?
hey, I passed the
That's
third
right.
grade 4 times. You don't bash on my education. I'm publicly educated. Publicly. No. So what's up? What you got?
So basically, the comment I wanted to leave was basically you were all talking about kind of assholes, perverts on the internet. You were talking about I heard about that, the rape tavern. I guess.
In World of Warcraft.
Way to describe it.
Yeah, that's what the article called it. So it's just what we went with.
Yeah,
and that's since
the first time I heard.
Since what people, some of the things were the screenshot, an article can tell a lie, but a screenshot lives forever. And, I was raped 5 times. Another one is like, if you have not sucked 5 dicks by the time you've been here, you've not been in Goldshire long enough. It's like, okay, and these are chat bubbles above people's heads. One of them, unfortunately, a dwarf, which I don't even want to go into.
I'm terrified to go into that subject.
Yeah.
What kind of interests do you people have that go to... See, to me, the first time I heard of the rape tavern on the article, I was sitting there like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I thought everybody knew Goldshire was like the home of perverts on World of Warcraft and such like that.
Yeah. But and apparently that's what they actually said that at the beginning of the article, that, it's always been a cyber hub and things like that. But apparently it's gotten worse and worse over the years as no oversight has ever come into it from Blizzard itself.
Yeah, and that's the question that I kind of wanted to bring up, was the fact that the internet is so new relatively compared to so many different things. I mean, the newspaper has been around since correct me if I'm wrong, but at least the 1500s.
Yeah,
Yes.
as long as there's been
when the printing press was
printing
just,
presses, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what do you want them to do? I mean, there's so many yeah, I'm already allowed to curse on here, dickwads on the internet that it's difficult to
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be a fairly, like, with newspapers, obviously, they would get letters, they wouldn't print them. If you read something in a newspaper you don't like, you don't buy it anymore. If you found a book that was, trashy, you threw it away.
Yeah,
But,
or you light a, or even with
light a match.
light a match. Yeah,
or use it for toilet paper.
on modern day things, when somebody when CBS or Fox News or something like that on the internet says something stupid or writes a story, people, they have to make a retraction. I think the problem with and we're just specifically talking MMOs. I'm actually not for policing the internet in any way, shape, or form. I think it's one of the few free bastions, and people should be allowed to say things to a certain. To basically this to say. I would rather know that the person is a complete asshole than have them hide it.
Well, agreed.
And I'd rather know somebody's a anti-Semite or a racist or hates Canadian,
anything,
Chinese
really.
people,
I mean, like
whatever. I'd
I
know
mean,
to avoid those
people. The list
people.
goes on and on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to avoid those people. But the difference with an MMO is there is actually it's owned by a privately owned company, and they should be taking care of. You're there. We don't ever look at it like that, and it's a slippery slope in some ways. But we are their customer, and we're paying them money for a service. And when other people also doing that come in and break their rules and interrupt our service, they should do something about that, I believe.
Yes. I really don't have a problem with their having free speech. I'm fine with that in and of itself. But if they specifically say in their terms of service that XYZ is not allowed and they're not enforcing that, that's their failure. So either take it out of the freaking TOS or enforce it. It's one or the other.
See, to me, the biggest thing about these MMOs is the scope of it. I mean, like, just from everything I've seen on the, being in an MMO from World of Warcraft to ESO, is that there's so many dicks.
Well, yes. Well, there are. But if they're reported and they have to sift those reports, the fact that they just ignore them instead of saying, you just got, like, isn't it Eve that if you get a report, you get a point, you get so many points, there are consequences? That is a really easy way to handle it.
I think, I don't know if it's Eve, because Eve is the one that people literally steal $30,000 of real world ISK, and the game company completely lets it happen because it happened in-game.
Right. But also, I don't remember which one it was, but there was a game that was doing that and it seems to me that would be a very simple way to handle it.
I think oddly enough, I think Blizzard's Overwatch has something like that where they were reported so many times and they actually were shaming people, which was fantastic, which is a great way for gaming to do that. But they were like, why did I get that? All I said was this once. And the guy was like, really? Really? We had 2,000 logs of your saying horrible, horrible stuff and reports on you before we gave you a permanent ban,
Yeah, and that's the thing that people need to remember is that everything is on a code. And all they have to, everything you do, everything you say, every move you make, everything your character does is all in code. All they have to do is find that
string. They'll be watching you.
I was about to damn you for stealing my line.
Sorry.
Every move you make.
It's like that kid in high school. He's always talking during class, and the one day that he's not talking, it's the kid next to him, or he turns to his fellow student and goes, hey, man, can I borrow a pencil real quick? And the teacher turns around, absolutely knowing that it's him and goes, damn it, I'm so sick of you. Stop talking. And the kid throws his fist down on the desk and goes, it's not fair. The teacher hates me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the scenario here.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I think that it would be a very simple thing for them to fix. They just don't want to because they don't want to have to fight the consequences of saying you pay a subscription. It opens up a can of worms they don't want to deal with.
But the thing is too is if the game has if you follow your own terms of service, it's like it's like with kids. If you lay down the law for your kids, and the second they break it, you ground them, you take away their whatever, you spank them if you're a spanker. They learn not to do that. You know, they start to understand mentally, like, oh shit, if I step out of line, I'm gonna get, you know,
or they get
punished.
very, very good at not getting caught, one or the other. But
Yeah.
But in an MMO world, that's right. I hid my comics behind my waterbed against the wall because I was grounded from comics for forging my mother's name. But that's beside the point. But with an MMO, that's, you know, obviously you can't hide anything because they can't keep a track of that. And if you get reported, they can keep track of that. So
it's very easy for them to go into the code and say that at this date, at this time, at this place, get everything for the last 5 minutes. Let me take a look at it.
Like once you get that reputation that you don't put up with the bullying, with the trolls and stuff like that, it will. Yeah. Are you going to lose some revenue? Probably. Are you going to gain a lot more having people know that they can go there and not be harassed? I'd say you probably make up your money.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, you know.
If I knew that they...
Question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Let me ask you a question because, you know, we're kind of delving into the free speech item that has been, you know, so subject to politics and internet since Gamergate. What's your opinion on the individuals who like to go up to role play that's happening out in open and, you know, like dance over... you know, over role players and stuff like that.
Oh, we touched on this already. You really want me to answer that question?
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I think we
you're
did.
fine. I'm just saying, I think they are the scum of the earth and should be banned permanently. I can't stand people that do that. They're
I think
bullies.
she talked about it while you were trying to figure out how to get in here.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh my God.
Bullies send me over the rainbow. So
those people are so terrible. I mean, like, I role played for about 2 or 3 years in World of Warcraft, and I never saw anything like that. Like, got into Elder Scrolls Online, and it was like, man, these guys like do a lot of shit for, you know, people who pay for the privilege of playing in this game.
For
what
hours,
the hell is going on?
For hours at a time. I honestly don't understand the mindset of
because they're not suffering anything. These are people that obviously have no power, have no life. And, you know, like the guys that simulate sex on the bar while we're trying to role play, and they're sitting there pretending.
Well, you're trying to ERP.
Well, that too.
ERP on the bar, and no one lets us do it.
But the point being,
sexual-based role play out in the open. God damn them!
It's just like if you're gonna do that, it's very sad that they need to do it on a, you know, and so it's very tempting every now and then to comment on, is this the only sex you ever have? Asking for a friend.
I would say that I would say that they should have a lot of games do have policies on griefing and trolling and things like that. It's just that again, they're not enforced. You know, it's like most things in life. They have the rules.
They have the TOS. It's in the TOS. It's in there. They have every legal right to enforce their rules. They simply do not.
It's just laziness. Yeah.
I was going to say I was doing some of the Thieves Guild quest lines. You know, some of the random stuff, and I got real frustrated in game, and somebody like took a chest that I was trying to find in this particular area, and I said something absolutely horrible, and like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna say what it was because I'm pretty fucking ashamed of the kind of thing I said on the internet, and I got reported, and I remember a day later I got reported for that thing. Like, you know, like, yeah, so ZeniMax, I don't even know who, is it ZeniMax? Is it BioWare? I don't even know.
ZeniMax Online.
ZOS, yeah.
Something.
ZOS contacted me. He's like, hey, you screwed up. If you do it again, you're going to be banned. And I was like,
you done fucked up, son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah. And like, I was kind of like, damn, I deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they jump on you, but then they don't get on these idiots who say all these horrible things during the middle of roleplay because they don't feel that role players should be there. I mean, why do they not enforce their own rules when it comes to roleplay?
Which is funny because role players make up such a, like,
dedicated.
What's the word I'm looking for here?
They're very dedicated.
We are the first to play the game and we are the last to leave. And there is absolutely no reason not to listen to us. We're the ones that buy all their stupid mini transactions. Stupidly.
Don't embarrass me with that one, yeah.
We're the ones that spend all the money on those stupid things.
How many other people just bought the new Gwar?
I
didn't. I just don't like. I can't. $20 for that thing. I don't like the pattern either. But I did buy. I bought the Harley Quinn motif. for, what was that, 14, 15 bucks? So that I can have a
only
look.
bought it because I buy every organic guar.
Oh,
like
yeah.
those.
You didn't buy the
what's
Mecha Guar?
No, I avoid that thing like the plague. Even if I have the whatever it's called, the crowns
for
or
it.
whatever, I still won't. Yeah, I still won't buy it. It's like, I just want guars that are realistic. That's my immersion.
I buy the clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy clothes, lots and lots and lots.
I buy clothes and special
furniture and
effects.
houses and
I like glowy
so
things.
Pointless. The point is that RPers
Yeah.
are spending a lot of money because there's also RPers who don't actually role play in game, who are role playing while they play, who want their characters to look the way they look and act the way they act, and they do, and they buy all that stuff. So role players, regardless of what level of role playing they're role playing, are very instrumental in the profit margin of games. And the fact that gamers, that these MMOs treat us like redheaded stepchildren they don't want, is just ridiculous because
we're so embedded in their
Yes.
I think the word was the profit margin.
I mean, let's look at EQ2. Would EQ2 even be there anymore if it wasn't for the role players and the psycho raiders?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
It's a combination. It's not the casuals. It's role players and raiders that keep a lot of those things going.
Oh, absolutely. I came back to ESO, and the first thing I think I bought was I spent $160 on the Ebonheart Chateau.
Oh, yeah.
Ouch. Yeah.
And it was, and that's not even counting like all the decorations that I paid and crowns for it and everything else.
Right.
Like I just had to buy, we can't do, being in a freaking, open air. Like I think my guild before I left was in Kraganmore. And it was like, I think I've reported more people just role playing in Kraganmore than I have in any MMO that I've ever been in.
I actually have met the max for ignored people and friends.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's been a few people in my guild that have done that too.
I have to go and kick some people off I haven't seen in a while so that I can make room for more people to ignore.
What's the limit on that, by the way?
I don't have any idea. They don't number it for you, so I don't know how many I actually have. I'd have to be a lot more dedicated to go count them all. So,
you have to sit there and.
That's crazy.
Is there a dog in your background or mine? Because we got 2 dogs in my house right now.
She just went on mute, so that was Jazz. She's always got an animal and kids in her house running around. Her kids get them riled up.
Freaking.
But
okay, I appreciate you guys letting me on it once again. I'd like to encourage our people to. Absolutely. I'd like to encourage all people to, before I leave, to contribute towards Tangent Fox and his situation IRL.
Yep, foxfang6 at yahoo.com, spelled just like it sounds with the number 6.
Would one of you do me a favor and just whenever you get the opportunity, hit me up with that email?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and it's actually in our general chat on our
So how does that work? Do I go into PayPal and enter that?
Yeah, just go to PayPal. You log in on your account. There's a send money to friends or family thing, and you click on that, and it just asks you for an email address. And if you put copy paste foxfang6 at yahoo.com in there, it will bring up him, and it'll just give you an amount. You just type in whatever amount you wanna send as well.
Awesome. Cool.
It really is just that easy. That's why one of the reasons I did it myself was just so that we would know how to tell you. I just forgot to do that part.
Cool.
So
well, it's nice seeing you again, Jay.
Appreciate you calling, Jay.
Thanks for calling in, Jay.
Again. I'm still forcing your guys' podcast down the throats of my guild members.
Well, I appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Well, just tell them you're on it so they have to listen.
Exactly.
Tell them if you don't like me, you got to call.
A good promotional opportunity. Go listen to the Ebonheart podcast.
That's
all right, guys. It was good talking to you once again. Have a good night.
Take care, Jay.
Bye.
All right. So appreciate you guys calling in. We'll probably start wrapping up here shortly since we haven't even actually gotten to anything that we do. But we have, with between the WoW Rape Tavern and Roger Regner Majer's thing. I'm just gonna butcher his name. Sorry, bud. I know your life's in shambles, but your name keeps making my tongue tie up. So those were seemingly pretty important topics, and they also affect kind of go along with our topic on how roleplay affects real life. So, what do you guys want to say? Anything about, if you guys are good, we can go just another 20 minutes, make it a solid 2 hours.
Sure.
I mean, we're already this deep in. We may as well. We've recently talked about going maybe to longer time periods like that, so we may as well see if we can fill up the entire time frame.
Well, that's never going to be a problem. We all love to talk too much.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
especially you two. I mean, women. Am I right, fellas?
Oh my
Am I right?
gosh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got.
I really felt that my little. I just now saw that you and Jazz typed up your things, and I'm
Well,
like,
since you've kind of been quiet, you got something you have in mind, hon?
oh no, I was talking about our topic. You
That's
guys
what I
in
mean.
our
You got
little note.
you got something you want to talk about how it's affected you when you roleplay and stuff like that. You got a story, or do we need to give you a second?
Give me a second, because I had it.
No.
I actually was thinking about it earlier,
no
and then I
pressure.
totally just forgot whenever you put the
No
spotlight on me. I was like, blank. No, dang it. Go ahead. One of you guys go ahead. And
All right. Well, go ahead, Jez. I'll let you hit it up first.
Okay. Well,
Since you guys put in all the work.
I had EQ2 when I started. I used to do, of course, like LARP and stuff, but EQ2 was a new game, and I started role-playing there because I was having these weird seizures, and I couldn't work anymore. My life was just upside down, and I slept all day and stayed up all night. It was quite a fun period of time in my life for about 5 years. And I learned, like I said, about running the guild and about people, and I learned to delegate, and I learned that there was a reason why I hated junior high. It was made very, very clear that I have a very low threshold for drama, which is terrible when you're a guild leader, because as Xanis can, as Ashen can testify to, I would go on rants in Officer Channel. I'm pretty sure if it hadn't been for Officer Channel, we all would have gone crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We would just go on these long rants and beat people up visually. Pounce, 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 pounce. Yeah, because it would be so frustrating. But it gave me friendships. RP has taught me that I'm not as weird as I thought I was, and I'm not as broken as I thought I was. Not making fun of other people, just saying that meeting other people with the similar problems that I have, meeting the same people who are poly and who are pansexual, and meeting people of all different spectrums of issues and differences has helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin. So in that, RP has helped me a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helped me to how do I put this? Express myself better, because I can step outside of the situation and talk about what's bothering me. And I learned to do that in roleplay.
Yeah, sorry. So I just put up a friendship gif.
Oh.
But no, and like you said, that's how, I know we've said it before, but Jazz and I have never physically met face to face. I've never given her a hug. I've never shook her hand. Nothing. We've never known each other outside of either through text or through just like this voice. That's how we met each other.
Yeah.
And she
really
is
that,
one of my best friends that I've ever had. And including
Same.
Going up there with the ones I've had in real life. I've known her longer than Sib, and Sib and I are married. She was, and that's actually to go into how it's changed me because of the relationship I had with her when my ex-wife had an affair with what was then a best friend and like a brother to me. Roleplay and the people I had made friends with here really helped me through that. I got through it incredibly fast compared to what a lot of people would. Part of it was also because I was miserable as hell. She was a pain in the ass, and everything was always my fault, even though it turned out it was hers. Because that was.
And I was there going, no, this isn't your fault. This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is not okay. Yeah.
And I because part of why I found out on November 17th that she was cheating on me, with my best friend, and by December 16th, divorce papers were signed. Less than a month had passed, and part of that was
take long.
well, we had no kids, of course, and we actually did it through LegalZoom.com, which is a funny way to. You can get divorced everywhere. You can do anything on the internet. You literally can. But it was amiable, and I was ready to just get out of the relationship. It really was almost 10 years of marriage too. We were at 9 at the point, but it gave me something to keep my mind off of any personal feelings I may have thought I had, even though I as clearly as you can hear me talking, I have no personal feelings. I am amazing and perfect in basically every way, shape, and form. I'm an exemplary.
He's so humble,
which
totally.
is
so humble.
which is the probably best aspect of myself is my humility.
You're probably one of the top 3 humblest people I know.
Yeah, there's me. There's one guy over in Quebec, which don't ask about him, and then there. I don't know. I can't think of anybody else. I was going to say the Pope, but I don't know. I really don't know the guy that well. I've never met him. He seems pretty nice. He also looks like the Emperor sometimes, depending on the camera. Just creepy.
That's true.
He's got some really bad photos. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, but man, he takes shitty photos.
That's so true.
That it really did help me through that. It's probably the most difficult period in my entire life. I've lost grandparents and things like that recently too, but I was somebody that I thought you could trust, and she was very I consider myself a Christian, but she was really one of those like carry mom people, and so it literally came out of nowhere. And the fact, honestly, what was more hurting was that it was my literally best friend, who's someone I thought of as a brother. And that actually, I was more upset to lose him as a friend than I was to lose her as a wife, which that should tell you something.
Yeah, that says a lot right there.
Says a lot.
Yeah, when we see them at cons, which we do run into them.
Yeah, because we do cosplay stuff a lot of times
Yeah.
too. Although we haven't done it
so
recently
funny.
because cons are so fucking expensive.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, the last time we saw them at a con, him and his friend Chris, they were just like nothing had ever happened. They were walking along just chatting away, and
I was
she
able
looked
to chat away.
so mad standing behind them.
It also didn't help that they had a kid after the fact, because this has been years now. Sib and I have been married for, has it been 6 years now? 7 up in March.
Yeah, we've been together for 8. Married for 6.
So they had a kid, and the very first time I heard about it, because we still had mutual friends, and I heard about it, and we bumped into each other at a thing called Trek Expo here, and I didn't even mean to. I was mean accidentally, which is part of my personality. I think that just happens. But they were pushing the kid in the stroller, and we bumped into him, and we were dressed up, and they were dressed up, and she's like, "Oh, have you seen?" Well, I don't remember the kid's name.
Remember his name.
We'll call him Dylan. Have you seen Dylan? And I was like, "Oh yeah, I already heard about it." And then I immediately looked to Chris and asked him how he was doing. And
I'm the one that had to point out that he said it.
I didn't even realize I called their son an it.
I know. I was like,
That was bad.
I didn't do it on purpose. I just didn't. I don't like babies. I never have. I don't care for babies.
Don't.
I don't care for them until they're able to walk and then talk. Then they're fun. But before that, I don't like the little squirming wiggle worms. They creep me out. I don't like them. Sorry. I know that's weird, but I just never have liked babies. They're adorable to look at. I don't like holding them. I always feel like I'm going to break them, or they're going to burst out of something's going to burst out of their chest. But yeah, I had said it in reference to their son.
That's hilarious.
And according to Sib, after that, I continued to talk to Chris, and we were catching up on it because I do big Halloween stuff. He did big Halloween stuff. It was one of those. We really were like brothers, and apparently she just sat there and fumed the entire time.
She was so mad. You could tell just by the way she was standing and looking at him. She was. I was like, uh-oh.
And knowing her the way I do, he got an earful of it after we left. So that was a big help.
You're pleased about that.
I kind of am. It's one of the best things about that whole thing. But I got through that whole, not to talk, let's X chat. Let's bring up our exes. Anybody else? Jazz helped me through that a lot. One other way and this is going to be self-deprecating in a way that is completely honest. So a long time ago in EverQuest 2, I was role-playing with Vinka, who is a monk on that Xanis, my monk Dark Elf, had trained. Jazz knew her. And we were in Calethin, and we were getting together to roleplay, and it was, there was a lot of, we never ERP'd, that wasn't my thing. They were really like father and daughter, and they were doing a lesson or something had happened. We were trying to have kind of a private conversation. We were literally in the middle of nowhere, and it just so happened another person that I kind of knew, I think her name was Redwing, and I was younger. I was still new to roleplay. I was still not really a great person. In a lot of ways, I probably still am not a great person, as you can tell. But I had meant to, she had sent me a tell, I think, saying, "Hi, how's it going?" or something like that. And I had meant to send it to Vinka and say, I was like, well, we just want to do this, and she's just going to sit here and annoy us the entire time if we stay. And I sent it to her. And that was one of my lessons. That was one of those life lessons in roleplay I learned. And I could tell I really, really hurt her. She never spoke to me again. Jazz.
Sorry.
You're doing it again.
Sorry.
But she never spoke to me again. And I still to this day, when I think about it, I feel like an absolute shitheel. Because she didn't deserve that. She was a super sweet person. And I was being selfish. I was being dumb. I clearly wasn't paying attention to who I was texting. And, I felt, I really did. It's not my proudest moment. It was a shitty thing to do. I should have just been honest and been like, hey, we're in the middle of something, do you mind if we, just take some private time, or we're going to go off on our own, and not try to be secretive or stupid about it like I did. And I hate that I ever did that I really, I could tell because she sent me a thing, and I tried to gloss it over like, oh no, I was talking about somebody else that's not standing right in front of us. I mean, it was just the three of us in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, lesson learned on that. I definitely don't do that again. It's still, and this was, I mean, that had to have been probably 8-10 years ago at this point now too. So, and I still remember it. It's just awful. I hate that I did that to somebody else that was a really sweet person and a good role player. So, as you can tell, we're not perfect. We've gotten to the point where we're at and comfortable doing this through a lot of mistakes. So,
yes.
So what about you guys? See, you got something written there, Sib. We'll get to you. Before we got a few more things, but we'll go ahead and just get to Sib, and then we'll close out the show.
There was one other name up there. Did we?
Yeah, Nydia.
Oh, I don't see anybody.
I don't know how to say his name.
It's on the note, the show note.
Oh,
right above your name.
Well, I don't.
Number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about in chat. Or I thought
No.
Do you want to do that one
Notes.
before I go?
Those notes you make us all read and write in?
That we're supposed to write in, and I totally dropped the bomb on that one this week.
Yeah, Nydia, who's actually with us right now, she or he, sorry, I don't actually know if you're a she or he, Nydia, had said...
Sorry if we're butchering your name.
Or Nydia. It's actually TH. That's why I don't listen to what you two say. She said that she had a really bad in-character breakup and cried herself to sleep for a couple weeks and cried off and on until she got over it. And yeah, I can understand that. I think Jazz has had a few in-character relationships that, well, I mean, she's married and she's definitely good at separating, that when things went south, it was like, I know one in particular, one in particular especially, because he completely went, he went real sideways real fast.
We mean the crazy guy. Yeah. Well, that wasn't really my fault.
No, that wasn't your fault, but it still
no, but it was
really
still very
you.
emotionally affected me because it
cool,
did
dude.
actually.
It's a guy, yeah. But see, that's the thing is, there's no shame in crying, dude. I cried at Marley and me, and I cry at all sorts of stuff. I'm a bit of a crier. If I cry when there's a really good moment in Dragon Ball Super, so I mean, like, Goku's kicking some butt. So
right
seriously,
we're working
No,
on our
yeah.
14-year-old son, trying to let him know it's okay to be upset and cry because
or
he is
emotional,
like,
or show
oh
love
my
and
God, he's
affection.
like a robot. I'm like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. It happens. It's a human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is something that I think we need to enforce more. I think all of our men would be healthier and happier if they allowed themselves to, but that's a whole different topic.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh,
Yeah.
when she and our son Tristan were watching, is that America's Got Talent? Is that silly show?
Yeah, AGT.
Yeah. When somebody would get on there and just, there was one little girl, she had started singing. She was amazing for a 7-year-old, and she had lost her father partway through the show because of cancer.
She was like 11.
11. Okay. But when
Little
I
older,
was only watching the show peripherally, but when she would sing, I would tear up because she had a beautiful voice. Just
Yeah, she did.
the story, I probably would have teared up regardless, just because. But it's just I get like I'm the same way. I get emotional at certain things that they just pull at my heartstrings, and especially I mean, God help you if you show me a video of soldiers coming home and either their kids or their dogs are there to greet them.
gosh,
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Totally.
But so go ahead. Yeah. So that's what Nydia had said in our chat earlier. So hopefully when you said that, you were meaning for us to actually say that on air. If not, oops.
But thank you for sharing. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
But yeah, because it's
We
true.
appreciate it.
It actually
we
does.
love the interaction with the people
Yeah.
that listen to us. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And I definitely understand that because it's storytelling. It's just like we cry at anything in any story, or you laugh or you joke about anything. So go ahead. What you got, Sib?
okay, mine it helped me. I know I really didn't get into it till I met you,
Mm-hmm.
Session, and you actually are the one that introduced me to the whole MMO RPing world. And before that, I had some really bad habits, like self-destructive habits. Like I was a bad gambler. Not gonna lie. I was really unhappy in my first marriage, and it was the only way I could get away was to go spend money that I didn't have, and it was just, I don't know, it was really bad. But he
She has
introduced me.
what is it that they said you have
I have
addictive personality?
Yeah, I have a very addictive personality, so I have to be really careful with what I do, and which the RPing and doing the gaming has really helped me with, because it's helped me realize, okay, I'm getting a little, I do the in character and code. So I have learned it's been like therapy for me to help me kind of, separate the two and realize I have to separate the two. So, and God, whenever he introduced me to it, I love it. And instead of going gambling now, I sit and play the game, and I'll do leveling, I'll do RPing, I'll do decorating. Yeah. And I do get a little obsessed with the decorating sometimes. If I'm really into a project, it's hard for me to stop. I'll spend,
Hours.
12 hours just sitting here doing it. But it's better than me being at a casino or,
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help now that I have really bad allergies and I can't go to casinos. I can't breathe the smoke.
Yeah.
But no, it's really been something that's been really positive in my life, and I really enjoy it. So,
And it's not nearly as expensive as gambling.
Oh, no.
No.
I mean,
If you're going to be addicted to something, being addicted to RP is probably safer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of the games you don't even have to have subscriptions to.
Yeah.
I can subscribe to, the game, so I do. And I do buy things in the game, but it still is not what I was destroying my life before, so
Yeah.
now I don't do that. But it's a positive thing for me. So that's how it's changed my life.
Yeah.
And I'm a much happier person, I will tell you.
And I remember too, she struggled with it at first, and I had told her, I was like, I would rather you be here doing this on your computer, because at the time too, when we got together, kids were obviously like, 7 years younger, 8 years younger than they are now. I was like, you're here, you're with the kids, you're in the house, and if they need something, you're here. You're not, you're not in a smelly casino. You're not dragging them, and she never drugged the kids anywhere. At the time of all that stuff, it was her escape. That's where she went to get away from all the troubles.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, there's no better place to get away from your troubles than in your own house.
Yeah.
At least you're interacting with people, and it's, again, not nearly as expensive.
No, but it's, like I said, it's been really good for me to have this. And plus, I've met wonderful people like Jazz. There's a lot of other people that I know in games that they're just really good people. And, it's been wonderful for me. So
Yeah.
I just felt like I opened my heart there for a minute. I was like, uh-oh,
No,
I'm getting emotional.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here to do. We're going to share, on the show, we're here to share our experiences, whether that's real life and in game, because it's all connected. I know there's a separation of in character and out of character, but there's still a connection too. So there's nothing wrong. You guys are probably going to, over the time period, learn a lot about us, because we're here just being ourselves. Honestly, we anything else, if we came on here and we tried to be, Mr. Radio Announcer, we're here with weather on the 5s and traffic on the 6s, and everything in our life is absolutely perfect and there's nothing wrong. So we're completely relatable to the average person that has troubles all the time. No, nobody connects to those people, and
No.
you can't fake that for, and unlike a radio show, we've now been talking for a solid 2 hours straight with no
That is
commercials,
crazy.
except for one amazing commercial with a crazy, weirdly American-sounding British guy. And, so anything we fake, you would hear it. Eventually, you would come to realize that they're just a bunch of people that are full of bullshit. And that's a good way to not gain any trust with your listener audience and the people that are going to, willing to spend their time with us as we spend it with
exactly.
you. So there's no point in us doing that. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. We're going to go ahead.
So we're at 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
really
know.
pushed the envelope.
Yeah, this will be our longest episode yet. And next episode will be number 20, and that is going to be
Woohoo.
our Halloween special. Hollywood special. We're actually doing something
Hollywoodish.
It is kind of Hollywoodish. Yeah.
We're actually going to do a special thing. We've each written our own sort of scary righted. We each write our own. It's been 2 hours, and my usual half drink thing of cinnamon vodka and apple cider is gone. So be lucky I'm speaking coherently. But we three each wrote a story, and we're gonna fully produce them in an audiobook style, written and performed by us. So far, 2 of them have been done the raw data, and one of them is actually fully finished. We still need to do Jazz's.
Yes, we do.
Which we'll have 2 whole weeks to do. So real quick, I'm going to do a quick preview of what's to come. I know the girls won't be able to hear it because I don't have that sort of technology, but I've had it sent to them, so they already know.
Yes,
So
we already heard it.
here is the first minute of Hard Life. It was a hard life, but a fair one. Working the land, trading what you grew and pulled out of the earth with your bare hands to the locals and the nearest town. The life of a farmer was one of long hours under the sun with your hands in the soil, of your family working together to survive and thrive, if only you put the time and effort, and, God's willing, the weather agreed. Of course, in these parts, the weather was nearly always agreeable enough, plenty of sunshine and just the right amount of rain. Old farmer Thaddeus Monroe sat rocking on his porch with a glass of cold tea and watching his son and 2 daughters at play, a game of tag around the big tree, while his wife rocked next to him, fixing a hole in one of his favorite shirts. "Something on your mind, husband?" So there you go. Just a quick preview, but we'll have 3 separate stories similar to that, fully produced, sound effects and all.
Woohoo!
It should be a lot of fun. And for our actual topic, if anybody is interested or has any ideas, I'll give you a chance to think of it for the next 2 weeks. We're going to talk about anybody, if you've done scary roleplay, or any special Halloween events over the time you've roleplayed. I know I've actually got 2 or 3, and I think each of you guys have a couple as well.
Yeah.
At the very least, if it's not Halloween directly, you're still on mute, Sib.
I'm unmuted now.
But if not directly
I don't do
related to
Halloween,
Halloween,
I
but
do
scary roleplay, yeah.
I do intense roleplay. I'm not
Yep.
really into scary.
Yeah, it's similar.
Creepy sometimes.
Creepy, that
Yeah.
works. But yeah, so that will be our next topic. It'll be our Halloween special, cleverly named for being Halloween and a special. Yeah, or not always original. But so that'll wrap up our show. I think we've definitely gone plenty of time.
Way
Hopefully.
over.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
you didn't do your halfling thing.
Well, yeah, because I'm getting ready to do that at the very end, silly.
Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun.
So if you want to contact us at rpmmoradio@gmail.com, go to Facebook at /RPMMOradio, at Twitter at RPMMOradio, and of course rpmmoradio.com or /Discord if you want to join our Discord channel and call in live as we had with Jay and Mikey tonight. So that'll pretty much do our episode, and thank you again everybody for listening. Give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you already haven't.
Thank you.
Tune in next time for Halflings, Halloween's horror fest that keeps giving year round. Next time on RPMMO Radio.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by RPMMO Radio are just that, and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great rock covers.